Hello, this is BlueStar, Defender of Equestria, and this is my AfterThoughts review of Tanks for the Memories. I'm going to miss you, Tank! But wait a minute, he's not actually dead, he's just going into hibernation. But it was still a really touching episode and everything nonetheless, and it was a really good episode, and there's a lot to discuss about this. This is actually the second time I've attempted to record this AfterThoughts review, because the first time I got all bogged down in, like, you know, issues with the death episode and other things, and oh dear, it's like, so I'm gonna try to keep this much shorter and keep it more about the actual episode and not about these other issues, because yeah, all I'm gonna say is I've gotten such guff for basically saying MLP is just one of these shows where characters are not permitted to die. It's like, yes, Sombra was technically killed, but regardless, this is clearly not a show where characters are meant to die, and it's just simply a show where, you know, in a way, a death episode doesn't fit into their jurisdiction, and I'm gonna leave that there, because otherwise I'm gonna go on about this for probably another 10 minutes, and parts of me would like to do that, but no, I want to keep this about the specific episode review itself and everything, and maybe go into some other fun things about the episode. So overall, this episode was still really good. It's difficult, I think, is the word that describes this episode the best. It can be fun, and there were some kind of fun things, but I think difficult is definitely the word that describes this episode. And of course, why shouldn't it be? It's a death episode. But that's only if you decide to interpret it that way. Because obviously the literal interpretation is that the Tank is not dead and that he's just going into hibernation. But however, regardless of how you decide to interpret it, whether you decide to interpret this as a death episode, which frankly I think it is, or the literal interpretation of Rainbow Dash just simply has to let go of her friend and deal with that in the same kind of way that a person who's dealing with the loss of a family member might have to, this still is a worthwhile episode in the way those two themes and those two lessons sort of are taught, either despite how you look at the episode and everything. And I like that. I do think this is a death episode. If you went up to the writers and asked them, is this a death episode? They'll probably tell you, yes, it was. But I think, as a, you know, looking at it that way, I think the episode did do a very good job, because, and again, without having the character actually dying, which is frankly the way that most children's shows deal with this, in that they do sidestep the whole this character is dead issue by not actually having the character die. But again, it does put pressure on the death episode interpretation and the fact that Tank is actually not dead, that he's going to be back probably by the end of the season, and it almost destroys that. But even so, I still think that's a valid interpretation, and again, I do think this is a death episode. I'm just kind of annoyed at myself that I didn't realize that the first time I watched this, and that, unfortunately, yes, I don't know the 5 stages of grief and loss and stuff. Dang it, I'm a programmer, not a psychologist! Roar! But anyway, yeah, so, but I'm also glad that other reviewers did not decide to interpret this as a death episode, or maybe not that way or whatever, but or I'm not the only one who didn't realize it at first, so that makes me feel a little bit better. Regardless of how you interpret the loss of Tank, that this was still a good episode. I mean, yeah, it's definitely difficult is the way that, unfortunately, definitely describes this episode, because it can be a lot of fun, but there was definitely some moments where I'm like, I'm not with you on this one, Rainbow Dash. It's like, oh dear. Not only that, there are times where it's like, you know, if BlueStar was a real character, he might have to go up to Rainbow Dash and said, Rainbow Dash, you're my friend, but as Defender of Equestria, I won't let you do this. Oh dear. That would be so difficult. I must admit, I added that because I normally don't do this, but I love that comment in one of my videos. It's like where one was chewing out BlueStar, if you will, for failing to defend Cloudsdale, and it's like, I'm so sorry, Equestria, forgive me. Oh, I like being Defender of Equestria. Please don't fire me. That would have put BlueStar in a very difficult position, because he doesn't want to have to basically go against Rainbow Dash, but I think the short answer is, in theory, he would have to defend Equestria against Rainbow Dash. Ouch, that bites. I will say, The caster is always set to stun unless otherwise stated. But I might make an exception for Tyrek. But anyway, yeah, it's like there were some fun sort of headcanon things there. Yeah, and I think everything is that Blue Star would probably not go up against Rainbow Dash directly. He probably would go to Twilight and say, Twilight, this is what Rainbow Dash is planning to do. Go talk to her before I have to go stop her myself. It's not going to be pretty. Oh dear, and I don't want to do that. Her fans would kill me. Oh dear. So yeah, I mean, these actions that Rainbow Dash are taking are borderline treason. And I think the short answer here again is that something needed to be said. Rainbow Dash needed to be called out for taking such severe, drastic action. I mean, yeah, she didn't intend to destroy all the machinery, but she did. And that can't go unanswered. I mean, I'm all for forgiveness, but there's a fine line between forgiveness and just letting ponies get away with stuff. And I think she at least needed to be called out. It's like, maybe Twilight needed to say, it's like, Rainbow Dash, how could you do that? It's like, oh, don't you realize how wrong that was? Or something like that. And of course, the answer is Rainbow Dash does know that this was wrong, but she doesn't care. And that's part of the problem. I think in this instance, they needed to say something, because otherwise this is just simply them letting Rainbow Dash get away with this, and that doesn't serve anyone. Letting people get away with stuff just doesn't serve anyone, is the short answer. But again, the difficult thing is that the way that this episode flowed worked really well, and unfortunately having that moment where we basically pull to the side and basically yell at Rainbow Dash for making such a horrible mistake would have really broken the flow and everything of this episode. And yeah, and it's not because she's a bad pony, it's because she's going through a lot and everything. I mean, those are no excuses for this kind of behavior, to be honest. But yeah, I mean, she's going through a lot right now, and again, it's difficult is the simple answer. All this is difficult. There's no easy or nice answers here. Which kind of leads me to Fluttershy's, best way to decide how to deal with the situation is, her conclusion is she has to use blunt force trauma. No! Oh no, this is like a revolution. It's like, oh, Fluttershy was blunt and direct, and Rainbow Dash was crying like a baby. It's like, it's a revolution. Alert the media. And yeah, angry Rainbow Dash was really scary. It's like, she's gonna kill us all. Run. But yeah, I mean, I did like all that moments, and they were kind of fun, and they were kind of interesting, and it was such a touching scene, with the main six all trying to help Rainbow Dash get through this and everything, and it's like, oh, that's so nice. I mean, I think awkward describes that scene better, to be honest, but yeah, it's awkward, and it is a little bit difficult and everything. It's like, oh, everybody's crying and everything. But even then, they found a way to make that kind of funny. It's like, yeah, I love that joke. It's like, yeah, Applejack cries on the inside. Yeah, it's true. I like that. That's cool. And again, there was a nice little, insight into each of the Maid Six's characters. Like, it's interesting that Twilight is not upset by this and everything. I mean, And of course, Pinkie Pie is upset that Twilight isn't sad. It's like, how could you not be sad, Twilight? Oh. I mean, there was an interesting sort of something there, is that, not everyone will be like, over these things, and that doesn't mean that they don't care or anything like that, but again, that's kind of getting off topic, but, one of those things that you could stop and look at, and, look at how each of the main six are responding and feeling about this and everything. That's an interesting thing to stop and look at. But yeah, it's like, oh, poor Rainbow. It's honestly kind of creepy to see the way that she's, literally clinging on to Tank, especially if you want to look at him as being dead. That would be like her, like, literally clinging on to a dead person. That's kind of creepy. I like Dr. Wolf's interpretation is that Tank isn't dead, but he's going to die, and I like that way. But it was really nice. It's like, oh, I didn't know you had it in you, Rainbow Dash. It's like, I don't want him to go. Anyway, getting back to Fluttershy and blunt force trauma, it's like, yeah, I mean, at first it's like, oh, how could you do that, Fluttershy? Oh, no. It's like, that seems so unkind, but No, it's like, no. Fluttershy understands that she has to go and basically break Rainbow Dash and force her to go deal with this because she's experienced this herself. Rainbow Dash basically is flat denying that this is happening. She doesn't want to deal with this. It's like, no, Fluttershy's realized I have to force her to go deal with this. Otherwise, she's never going to deal with this. Oh dear. And I think in the short, that's probably the right thing to do, but it's definitely not always the right thing to do. I mean, let's say Rainbow Dash did realize that she had to deal with this and basically said, I need your help. I can't handle this on my own. And obviously, it wouldn't be appropriate for Fluttershy to say that because it's like, she doesn't need to be broken. She needs your help and everything. And the brief research I've looked at on the 5 stages of grief, it says that sometimes people don't always go through these exact stages in this order, and they don't necessarily go through all of them, and there's simply no universal answer to this problem and everything. And this is in a way why a lot of TV shows don't go and do this, because there's no, okay, do A, B, C, and D, and do them in those order, and it doesn't work that way. The short answer is, it just simply doesn't work that way. But, having said all that, this is probably, not a bad thing to say, is that, at some point you do have to sometimes force people to go deal with this. Sometimes we have to be broken in order for us to pick up the pieces and then put ourselves back together. But this is I think I will say this is that, this is why I've been against, in a way, a death episode in MLP, because it's like I listen to the comments that some bronies say, and I think all they want to do is they want to walk up to children and basically say this to them. It's like, your family member is dead and they're never coming back. And all I'm gonna say here is, if you did that to my child, which by the way, I don't have any, I'm not a parent, but if you did that to my child or one of my family members, I'd be pretty ticked off at you. The short answer is like, that's not your decision to make. If anyone's going to break my child's heart, it's going to be me and not you. All right, getting off topic here. I'm going to stop now. Otherwise, that's sometimes I think the short answer is I think bronies want to do is break children's hearts. And maybe that's the only way, but I definitely think that's certainly not the case in all cases. But anyway, enough of that. But yeah, moving beyond those things, this was still a really good episode. It was, I've said this already, it's a difficult episode, but it's a very good episode. It handled this pretty good, and there was some still fun, entertaining things here, and it's not without its problems and everything, but it's still a good episode, and it did everything that it probably set out to do, so it's a pretty good episode, and there was still some fun things there, and we got to see some more into the world of Equestria, and everything, I think in short, this was a good one. It's a difficult episode. It's not an episode I'm gonna go and look for fun, but it was a good episode, and it did have a really good song in it, and I must admit, I'm gonna add this to my list of reasons why I'm glad I don't go out and find spoilers, because yeah, in a way, some people were disappointed by Rainbow Dash's first solo song. Some people were okay with it. I think it's okay. This song is definitely within her character, and it fit her perfectly. As Sasame-chan, I think it's said that this is almost a villain song. It's sort of a villain song. It's like, yeah, it's like, I don't care that this is wrong. I'm going to go do this anyway. But even so, I did like that song. It was really nice, and it was touching, and it is unfortunately in Rainbow Dash's character that, yeah, she cares more about what she wants rather than what's best for, well, any pony else, to be honest. And again, as I commented, it's good to show that, that struggle hasn't gone away. There wasn't a switch that was flipped, and, Rainbow Dash has overcome that, and she's never going to go that way again. And, that was sort of a interesting sub-lesson there. But, yeah, this was difficult. That was difficult. But I liked that song. It was nice. I enjoyed it. It was good. It was really touching. But again, it was also kind of creepy to see that she's doing this song and dance number with someone who is in theory supposed to be dead. That's just kind of creepy. But no, it's like, no, it's okay. It's fine. Tank's not dead. He's not dead, I tell you. Anyway, yeah. So yeah, the song was good. The episode was good, and in general, I like this one. It's definitely not an episode that I'm gonna go to for fun, but it's still a good episode. And I am glad in the end that they did this episode and that they were able to pull off this episode, and that they were in fact able to do a death episode in MLP and make it work. So yo. But I do have to say that I hope the next few episodes are going to be a little less heavy and a little bit more fun. And it's like, and hopefully not make me want to cry anymore. It's like, oh. It's like, oh, my armor's going to rust everywhere. It's like, oh, do you know how hard it is to clean rust off this armor? But no, it is good that MLP's been able to do these things. But yeah, I do want to see the next few episodes be a little bit more fun and enjoyable. But anyway, this good job on this episode, and yo-ho! So, that is the end of my afterthought review of Tanks for the Memories. This is Blue Star. Stay strong and pony on. Blue Star out.